Hello everyone, welcome to this global GEG broadcast. We'll be making a start shortly, and while we're waiting for everyone to arrive, why not head into the chat, let us know who you are, where you're from, your Twitter handle, and if you've got any questions that you'd like us to answer during the course of this evening, let us know there as well. Also, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button to make sure you stay up to date with all of the events being organised by us at Global GEG. We'll be making a start really soon. Thanks for joining us.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah.
I wish I had British accent, but I don't.
That was really funky.
I was into the funky.
I like that one.
We were all dancing in the background. You could see it.
It was just
Well, John was dancing too. Let's not lie.
I was
wasn't
doing
alone. Thank you. Thank you.
I can't help it. It's like a birth defect.
It's in him and it's got to get out. I can play it again.
I liked it. So I can't wait for this session. We never know what John will bring today. So it's always an exciting new day here.
And I have no idea what it's going to be about today. I really
What? Nothing. You got nothing, Stacy.
And I didn't come prepared either.
Oh, wow. So how's everyone's start of the year going?
Super. Mine's going actually spectacular. Santa Ana Unified, yeah. Everything's going smoothly. I've got the Zoom classrooms, the breakouts. My kids know more about Zoom than the adults do. The Canvas is running well. They're doing shared slides, and I'm like rocking the Loom because of Steph Howell breathing down my neck about getting my video done in time. So now I'm a Loom expert. I think it was trial by fire with Global GEG this summer.
Very good. What about you, Steph?
Mine is, I would say it's going well. Like when I'm with students, it's going well. You know, we're in Northern California, so we've been dealing with pandemic and, you know, many of you know me, along with that, fires and power outages. So I would say we've just been doing a lot of deep breathing and knowing that students, you know, they're coming in, a lot of them have been evacuated. So they're tuning in from places that aren't their homes. And, but we're making it work. I would say our students, it's clear that they're quite resilient. I think some of our staff, like we need to catch up to how quick our students manage. And I'm impressed by all of them. So that's been great.
And John, now that you're back in the classroom.
Woo! Fire hose. Fire hose. New SIS, new assessment system, new site, new technology, new webinar system. Like I don't think there's anything that we used last year. I think literally every system's new. So, you know, just changing your grade book can be a super exciting concept right. So we're doing all of that. So nobody's an expert at any of that. But on the cool upside is really agile staff. Like they get it. They're super professional and super kind and super patient. And that's awesome. I like that. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? We don't have like that person that sits in the back and doesn't help. So that's really, really cool. The kids have been a pleasant surprise. They're funny. They're fun. They've been interesting. They've been really kind to each other as well. Now, if we can only get the internet to run at like 20% of normal speed, we will really be cooking.
Yeah, we've been having a ton of internet issues the first day of school, and teachers were just getting frustrated because we're using the hybrid model this year. And so they were trying to get all of cohort A on as quickly as they could, like, bam, here's all this information. So I think it was probably a blessing in disguise that made them slow down and kind of focus on building those relationships with students, even though they were freaking out behind the scenes. But you have to have that relationship piece. And I was looking at John's Smart Start. He sent it out to the communities. I think he sent it out through Trainer and Innovator, this awesome resource. And I was looking through it, and I was talking to some teachers about, hey, could you use some of these activities? Because you're going to use these protocols in your class later this year. So why don't we use it to get to know the kids? So like with the prayer model and that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited for today's session. And those of you that are watching in the chat, let us know how it's going for you. If it's crazy, if it's good, maybe share one good thing and one bad thing, or just let us know how it's going. We'd love to hear it. And also put your Twitter handle in the chat so we can connect.
Yeah, we said today in my class, because my teacher candidate, if some people call it student teacher, they call it teacher candidate, and where I am, she used the term glow and grow today. She liked the rhyming. So you're welcome to, something happy face,
Yeah,
bad face, glow,
seriously.
grow, whatever
A
works.
little cheesy alliteration will get you a long way.
It will, all the time.
Gotta do the glowing.
It helps me. Maybe that's just me as an English teacher, but I'm happy when I get to have all of that.
Yeah, Tom, you're and Marlene and Kim Bogey's amazing Smart Start, and that diagram is just, it's vivid. And the funniest thing though, I gotta share this with you. I took a screenshot because on the first day back at school, like August 17th, we started the 17th, and it might have been the first day the rest of the world saw it, but the world overloaded EduProtocols. Some tools might be unavailable due to heavy traffic on this file.
That's awesome.
I have to get
for like 3 or 4 weeks, anytime I opened that file, the little anonymous hamster and all that, there were like 89 people in it at all times. Like there were always dozens of people, which was pretty fun.
I wonder why there was heavy traffic that day.
I wonder why.
Yeah, and I've got them like
inexplicable.
Pinned.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say I'm waiting to see what some of the glows and grows are as people are putting them there in the chat for sure. But that's interesting. Shannon was saying like she's finally getting the flipped classroom. Like there's so many pieces to get used to, and I would say as somebody where I consider myself like a pretty veteran teacher, it feels like the very first year all over again with a lot more added to it. And we're just all trying to figure that out. Yeah, glow, kids are so resilient. Love it. Grow. And
hi, Heather.
So true. Being
Oh,
patient.
saying no, that's a grow for me.
If I shared my Chrome tab, I have all of them. I opened up every one and then made my copies like well in advance. So they're just sitting there ready to be snatched in there.
Yay. So I think we're beginning today. John said he's going to have a presentation for us today. Oh. And then we don't know what he'll ask of us. We were all trying to guess between the three of us. What's he going to ask us to do today? I don't know. So
we're just going to hang out.
We're students, in your little class here. So we'll do whatever you want. But I like just chatting with you too. Yeah.
So I've got a few slides ready. Not a lot.
Good. Show your screen, my dear.
And I'm going to share some screen right here. Something that I can't do in my current webinar tool. I won't mention any names.
It's okay. Live it up while you're here, John. Live it up.
Yes, that's right. So people might be watching. So all right. So we've got first thing is get a hold of my email address to access free lifetime tech support. And so you definitely want to do that because I will be more than happy to help you as you move forward. And so this is the idea of Smart Start, right? Like the thing that started off with me was I thought, how can I make, you guys are teachers, the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, all the kids want an A, they all think it's going to be a great year. There's that honeymoon period. And I thought, you know what, if I could make the 2-week honeymoon period into 5 weeks, maybe I could extend it to 7 weeks, right? So like, how can I make the honeymoon period as long as possible? So a couple little Asian strategy things here. Every battle is won before it is fought. Now don't think military, all right? Every battle is won before it's fought. So what that means is when we prepare things well, and then the thing starts, we have the resilience. I already saw that word in the chat. We have the flexibility. We have the skills to adapt ourselves to what's going on in the situation, right? So preparing the students for the year that's going to come to meet them is super important. And I like this one too. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Now, in this case, the finger quotes enemy is my class. Like if I'm doing this all year and we're at each other's throats, that's not going to lead to optimal learning, in my opinion. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to figure out how to not have a fight with the kids. How many of you, Stephanie Squared and Stacy, have heard teachers say this in the teacher's lounge around October? Oh, I went too fast. We got to restart. I'm losing them. I got to have a parent meeting. We got to have a parent meeting and straighten this all out. So these two slides are not about military strategy. They're more like this. You got a Maslow to get your bloom, right? And so a lot of times what happens is the first day or two of school is syllabus, take roll, say my name wrong, get out. And that really takes the edge off the honeymoon experience for the kids. They're like, okay, I am not super excited about coming back tomorrow. So we're looking for that balance, right? We want to be the leader of children. And, we lost Sir Ken Robinson a little over a week ago. And my favorite quote of his is, you are an educator. You are not a content delivery system. You are a filler of fires and inspiration and excitement and creator of young artists. Your job is not to just sling out worksheets. So there's that disparity there. If I start the year by slinging a syllabus, and let's be honest, you've all probably got kids by now. Your kid comes to you and says, Mom, sign the syllabus. Do you read it? No. You're cooking dinner. So you sign it, right? So do you know what's in the syllabus? No. So what's the point of making them sign a thing that nobody reads? So you could easily adapt that. If you're into the syllabus, if that's your jam, if that's where you're going to leverage your class, have the kids do a Great American Race or a Number Mania on the syllabus. And then they will know what's in it. There's no point in having printed words that the kids have never read, right? So this is this crossover. And I don't know if you guys have seen this graphic before. I found it about 2 years ago and I love it. Build a world and your children are bigger and stronger than you were, right? And so I don't know if you can tell with this, but there's a floppy drive with a little SD card. And the SD card is the child, right? Or this one, how about building bad habits so this doesn't happen? Teacher extends research paper due date Monday. Still starts Sunday night at 10 p.m., right? Trying to get out of those habits. So back in the day at Course Gold School, up in little bitty Course Gold, I started noticing that my fifth graders showed up every year and they really didn't know how to work very much. They didn't know how to put their names on their papers. You guys, I timed them one time without telling them. I had my little timer. It took them 41 seconds to get their pens ready to write. I'm like, you guys, I'm not going to watch you get your pens out for 11 hours a year. That ain't going to happen. We're going to get organized. And so I started teaching them. And I found this book called the Oxford Book of Work. And that little arrow there's, I got tons of pages dog-eared, which I know is making librarians freak out right now. But basically, I stole this idea from the Navy SEALs. We're going to teach them to walk correctly. And then we're going to teach them to run correctly. And then every day we run a little faster, which is very different than just throwing people into the deep end and hoping good things happen. So these are super rare documents here. These are literally photocopies from like 2001. And so I made these little daily packets for the kids that were little like adventure packets that we would do. And one of them was, we're going to break Parkinson's law. And so if you guys have heard me talk about the suck is based on Parkinson's law. It's actually, I think it's chapter 17 in book 1. And so I teach the kids about Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says all human work will expand to meet the time given. So guess what? We are going to learn to break that law. We're going to break that law. We're going to get stuff done faster. Here's another example. This was another daily one. And you guys can't read it, but it says, tennis, which our gallants make a recreation, is much more toilsome than what many others make their work. And yes, they delight in one and detest the other. So the point is, we work really hard at sports. but it's because we enjoy it. You guys, that was from Robert Boyer in 1637. We have known this for a long time. Here's another quote. Neither can tennis be a pastime because it is far too laborious for pastime, which it can only be recreation, but there can be no recreation in sweaty labor. For it is laid a curse upon men, and they shall live by the sweat of their brows. 1623. People are drawing the disparity between working hard in tennis versus working hard in class. And so the thing here is that I'm teaching the kids how to SEL, self-monitor themselves as part of the process of the first couple of days of school. This is a great graphic organizer I got from a friend of mine, and understanding, human behavior. We will tend to stay away from things that we think are painful, and we will tend to lean into things that we think are pleasurable. So there's your tennis tie-in right there. So I had them do all these kinds of activities. This was their homework one night. Look, I totally did it in Sharpie, you guys. I didn't even print it. That's in Sharpie. Monday night's homework. What does phobia mean? Parent signature. All they needed to do is get it signed. You know why? I'm training them to bring stuff back. That's all I'm doing. There's no actual work to the homework. I'm training them to bring stuff back. And I told them, if you guys bring 100% of these back, we're going to have extended PE tomorrow. Extra recess is illegal, but I can extend PE at my own discretion. So day 1, 100% turn in. Day 2, 100% turn in. Day 3, 100% turn in. Day 4, I'm like, I know you guys can do this because you just did it 3 days in a row. So let's get it on. Let's get cracking, right? So the original Smart Start actually happened. I got to open high school with Mike Niehoff. Now dig this, you guys. It's a brand new high school. And the contractors tell us the 1st of August that it may not be done on time. That'd be the whole thing. So we might not have a school for a week. And everybody's geared up to go to school. So this is a picture of my friend Gigi Drozen. You know what we did? We pivoted. We rented a place at Bass Lake. There was a convention center there. They gave it to us for like $500 a day. We went to a convention center for the first 5 days of school, and the teachers presented right off their laptops. They did these little 10 and 15-minute sessions, and boom, the first week of school, we had an amazing culture going. And we didn't even have a physical school yet. We had freshmen going home saying things like this. I have 100 new friends this week. Not all freshmen start off that way. Another thing I noticed as I moved through the high school ranks was that the fancier the school, the longer the camp. So if you're going to go to Fresno City College, and I'm alum, so I'm not talking smack here, but you're going to get like a 3-hour orientation. There's the cafeteria, there's the library, there's the parking lot. Have a great year, right? You go to Fresno State, they have dog days, and you show up at about 11, and you get to spend the night in the dorm, and you get to go bowling, and they kind of extend the experience, but it's still kind of overnight. It's 24 hours. At the University of California at UCLA, it's a 4-day camp. At Menlo College, it's a 6-day camp. You know why they do that, you guys? Because they want the new kids to do well. Why can't we do that in school? So this is part of the idea. How do I acclimate my kids? How about this? Let's start with a boom. Right? Let's start by creating. How many of you have sent kids to summer camp? They're crying when they leave because they don't have any friends. What's happening on the way back on the last day? They're crying because they're missing all their new friends, right? So part of our logic was, can we just kind of build that cycle into the year? So this is just a couple more examples, and I'll stop with these slides. We had little 15-minute slide decks that the teachers made. So we had young professional manifesto, how we dress at school, grading policies, the meaning of family values, zero indifference. You know why we didn't put apathy? Because apathy has a negative connotation. Teenagers lit up on the idea of indifference. Whereas when you say apathy, they're like, duh, we're teenagers. Apathy's our jam. But if you say different, if you say, let's not be indifferent to people that are different. Let's not be indifferent to people in peril. Let's not be indifferent to people that are lonely. The language shifts on the kids and they engage it differently. We had proper communication, how to call, text, and email your teachers. We had orientation. So we got all that stuff built in for the first week. And then that led to these activities that Marlena and I did. So we've got these little packaged up activities that teachers can do in 15, 20 minutes. And so basically the first 3 or 4 days of school, because you guys, rarely do we start school on a Monday, right? Usually it's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So your first week cycle is out of whack anyways. So basically what we did was we said, let's use the first 3 days to teach kids how to learn better. And then Marlene and I started making these protocols, and we're like, wait a minute, you could smart start the protocols. So guess what I did this year? A lot of teachers will do like a PowerPoint or video. Here's my life. Here's me. Now, I put it in quizzes. We just played the quiz every day until they got 100%. So much faster. Plus, I'm teaching them how to do what? Use quizzes, right? Thin slide. Today, your favorite artist. Tomorrow, your favorite food. The next day, a favorite sports team, or your favorite sports team to not like, because I work with teenagers, right? You know, you always got to have the I don't like it option. And then you're teaching them thin slides that first week, but the second week you can do anything because they've got that tempo built in. You could do cyber sandwiches the first week. You could compare In-N-Out Burger and White Castle hamburgers. And so it's a non-academic activity, but it is a very academic activity. All we've done is pull out the content. The kids are still doing really good work. You can do sketch and tells the first week, draw your favorite pet, draw your first vehicle, all kinds of fun things like that. And then by week 2, your kids are busting stuff like this out. Stacy Young's kids did this with, they did this on feudal Japan, right? And so she shows them a quick little text and a quick little video, and then they draw in Pear Deck. They were drawing and writing their stuff. So the idea of the plan the perfect week concept is, and the Smart Start concept is, you've got this all laid out and ready to go. So Stacy, I'm going to open up your background right now. Yay. And start showing this to folks. So if people go to EduProtocols.com, they're going to see the top banner says Smart Start. And we've made a fully online version of this. So you just click on the picture, and here's what's really cool. And then I'm going to stop sharing and we can just chat and answer questions after that. So we've got this virtual Smart Start built and ready to go.
I don't think it's showing that one, John.
Let me stop sharing. I got to switch windows, huh?
I'm glad you shared Stacy Young's use of the protocols, because she is unreal. If you're not following her on Twitter,
Stacy Young is out of control, on fire.
And so friendly and chill. You know, you feel like you're talking to an edgy rock star, and she's just like, you know, helpful and wonderful.
Yeah, she's super, and she really embodies this whole group that we've kind of accidentally made friends with. So basically, this Smart Start that you can go to, there's 9 different protocols that are pre-slugged, and like you were showing earlier, Stacy, if you roll over them, there's a Google slide deck for all the instructions for each one right there, ready to go. And so the first column on the left is all the instructions of how you do the thing. And then when it gets really fun is we've got day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 planned for you. Now, I'm one of the people that helped make this up. I couldn't even get all that done in a first week. That's more than people can do in a first week. So you can just grab 3 or 4. One of my suggestions, though, is go horizontally. So if you're going to frayer, do 3 or 4 frayers in a row over the first week. Do 3 or 4 thin slides in a row the first week. Do some random emoji in a row the first week, so that you're getting kids multiple reps. The second week, you can do basically anything. And then we got a couple others that are kind of one-hit wonders the first week, like the worst presentation ever. And that one, kids love that one. So it's a stand-up comedian, and he lists off like 11 things he doesn't like about death by PowerPoint. And so what the kids do is they break 5 or 6 of those rules, and then right at the end, you swap it out. You swap it out. And so Stacy would be presenting Stephanie's, then I would present other Stephanie's, and then we know that it's bad. So everybody's laughing their head off. And so for teenagers, that's a really safe place, because they realize that it's not their crappy presentation. So that's the big picture and the visuals of Smart Start. I want to say one last thing before I let you guys jump in and start beating me up with hard questions like you do. I've seen about 3 tweets over the last 2 years where somebody says, I am alarmed that teachers are talking about holding off the content for the first week. It is very important that kids get... Hey, no, you guys, what we're not saying is we're not saying kumbaya for the first 3 days. What we're saying is establish tempo, tech tools, how to present, how to share, how to make a diagram. Establishing the fact that when we're done making stuff, everybody talks. You're establishing a true learning culture. You're onboarding your class. All of those activities are going to be done throughout the year at various times. You're just simply separating out the content, but you're not separating the academics. So, like, for example, if you give kids a survey out the mill with 10 questions that you bought on Teachers Pay Teachers, how many Marzanos in that activity? But if you have them frayer a friend and they're actually collaborating and talking and summarizing, you've got a whole bunch more of Marzano type activities. And I saw a really cool one this morning. It was set up for a trifecta, you guys. And it said things we all like, things none of us like, the sum total of all of our shoe sizes, the tallest person, the shortest person. It was really cool. And that workflow can totally pay off the next week in a class culture where kids are used to talking to each other. And I want to throw one more thing in. When you mix your class like this interactively for the first week, your bullying is going to go down dramatically. And I wish I could tell you that the brain research, but here's the thing. This is what happens in high school if you're a K-8 teacher, okay? I say, welcome to English class. The Aggies sit over there. The cheerleaders sit over there. The skaters sit over there. The Goths sit over there. And they immediately stratify. These activities get things like this going on. One of the Aggies looks over at the Goth guys, goes, Frodo rocks, bro. So now we're starting to get those other cross connections going. And that really minimizes the bullying and teasing stuff as the year goes on, because they realize they have things that they are in common besides their friend group, because that's the filter that teenagers see everything through is, does my friend group approve? Well, if I make the whole class into their friend, boom. And if you can do that in every class every day for 3 days at your high school, it's a whole other thing. You guys, we had a 500 kid high school, which is not giant, and we were in, kind of in the sticks. We would go 9 or 10 or 11 weeks in school before we had a fight. That's a long time in high school. I don't want to scare the K3 people, but that is a long time to not have a fight in high school. And I think that was the result of all that mixing and blending, and sooner or later the kids lose their top over something because they're teenagers, read Romeo and Juliet. But preserving that good feeling as long as you can is really cool. The other thing is, if you're going, oh my gosh, I'd love to do this, but I've already started the year. No problem. Do this the week after Thanksgiving. Do a smart reboot. Do it the week after Christmas. Do a smart reboot. And then my favorite variation is do one to end the year. So let's say Stacy teaches 4th, I teach 5th, and Stephanie teach 6th because they have to co-teach because they're young moms or whatever. Okay, so the last week of school, instead of watching SpongeBob and making popcorn, trying to talk kids into liking it, you've all been there, am I right? The last week of school is sucky. So for every morning from 9 to noon, Stacy's 4th graders would come to my class. And guess what I do? I'd smart start their butts. And then guess where my 5th graders would be going to be Stephanie Squared. Now those kids spend the whole summer saying, I can't wait to work with Stephanie Squared. Mm-hmm. They're not like, I can never remember which one because I see them in the hallway. You're building those relationships and those dendrites for the kids before the summer even starts, you guys. Why would you wait? So that's the fantastic finish.
John, I have a different spot because I'm all project based. So I do it as an in between each unit. I try to pick one that will help to then showcase whatever tool we might be focusing on for that unit so that it won't become a thing, but it's a way in to connect with your new team, your new group, do a thing, get fun, connection.
Yeah. It's what we do with adults, right? Adults don't function well when you shove 50 people in a room that don't know each other. It takes 3 days for them to start talking to each other, and they're adults. So why do we think that we can do that with kids? Because somewhere deep in our teacher brain, we think that those kids will do what we say. How's that working? Kids are different nowadays. That's not how they're going to do things.
That's it. I like how you said that, John, because this past 2 weeks, my kids are like, they know Zoom more than most adults do, and their tools are really good. But it breaks my heart because they love each other and they're really good in breakout rooms, but they're really shy about, they'll like show their face for a second, and we're not pushing or anything. But it's like, dude, you rocked the 2 weeks with Zoom. Now it's time for the smart start. Let's get that relationship. I mean, let's get that kind of energy going.
Yep. And that one of the ways I do that is I keep things super short. I'll give kids like 4 seconds. You only get 4 seconds. And that way my extroverts like Stephanie Howell, they have to shut up in 4 seconds. And my introverts like Stacy Kline, only 3 seconds left, right? So that quickness is a thing. When you ask kids to make a 1-minute presentation, that is deafeningly hard for a lot of kids. You want to build that culture. So you don't say, oh, we're going to do it. It's going to be academically rigorous. So we're going to do a 5-minute presentation on Friday. Here's what I want to watch: 7 times 5 minutes of bad presentations. I don't want to watch that. I'd rather watch 4 seconds a day times 70 over 3 weeks, so that when we finally go to do a 2-minute one, they're like, wow, that's forever. It's going to be awesome. So I clamp them down on purpose so that when I remove them, it feels like freedom. But when you start at 5 minutes, oh my gosh, that's ugly. Do a 5-minute presentation about your family. I don't want to do that. I'm an adult.
I like that. I like the idea though of like that slow roll in for everything, right? And I think one of the biggest pieces that I kept saying at the start of this year is like, my goal is never to set up a kid to fail. So like our school, we start with summer reading, and I do not begin on day one with a quiz on the summer reading. We began in my class, right? We did
because they won't have done it. Parkinson's law.
So
how many of you watched The Hobbit as a cartoon instead of reading the book your 8th grade year? Come on.
Well, that one is a long. Oh man, 8th grade. That's a long one for 8th grade. But yeah. So we begin with. Obviously, like we're starting with all of these connectedness pieces. We warn them that it's going to come, but then I'm doing all of these pieces that help ease them in. So they're picking the theme. They're meeting with that thematic group. They're already have found quotes, but they're talking about them together. They're establishing relationships while they're doing that, getting to know each other in that same space, using some of the day 1, 2, 3 activities to then introduce each other, right? Like along with content that we need to do. And then we keep moving through. So I gave them an outline. Like I'm in a space where I am confused about the idea of coming in and wanting to have students start in a deficit. I mean, I'm not confused, but I'm saying it kindly. And so my goal is to never do that to my students, and to have them know what it is. What is my goal for you? What goals do you have for yourself? And how can we help you to get there?
If I can draw a parallel, have any of you walked out of a district training more confused than when it started?
You don't say that.
Right. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We're adults. We know how to ask for help. Right. When kids walk out of class more confused than when you started, they get afraid. What does the brain do when they're afraid? It retreats. They're down in the hypothalamus, I think. And if there's brain people, usually if I make a brain mistake, all the science people are like all over me. So feel free to correct me. But we start moving down into that primitive brain, because now we're in fight or flight mode. I don't know if I'm going to survive this year. I don't want kids coming back on the second day thinking, I don't know if I'm going to survive this year. I got 180 days. Here's a good perspective thing. Ready? How many days does a football season last? I think they get 70. Look how far they move those guys. Or cheerleading, just use a similar, right? First day of cheerleading camp, not the best, but the big championship football game or basketball game in November, we're popping, right? So you got to have a long view. And I think sometimes it's, in Tommy Boy, when Chris Farley orders the chicken wings and it's all bad and he's down on himself, I think sometimes we're too hard on ourselves. You got to have that long view. I'd rather have a really good day today and a really good day tomorrow doing just a couple of things. Or marching band. Thank you, Frederick, because I'm all about the diversity. Or the flag team, whoever, right? Whoever that group is. You can't start like it's the end of the season the first day, or they will quit. They'll quit. And then that's what happens in school, except they can't quit because of their zip code. They're trapped with us. And that makes it even weirder. Now we got a whole marching band conversation going. That makes it even weirder for the kids because they're afraid they can't leave, right? And it's like, oh, it's so tricky. So that's where I think the protocol piece fits in very nicely. Like you could smart start without protocols, but if you can do a thing like thin slides and find out what all the kids like in rock and what all the kids like in shoes, you're getting in their heads and they're finding stuff out because they're going to talk at recess. Bro, you got the Jordan 84 shoe? You kidding me right now? So all of those little connections get made, and that pays off big time in November. One more example. I played football at Fresno State, right? So by the time I got there, I was 19. It's a long story. Held myself back after high school. The first day of camp, because I played for 2 years and I coached for 2, so that was 4 years. You would think that after 12 years of football, we would start with some really fancy plays. They would tell us, we're only doing the plain stuff for the whole first week. You need to do that right first. And those guys were on ESPN in 30 days. You get to start August 1st and you're on ESPN August 30th. You can't panic. You'll freak the players out. You got to trust the system. You got to trust the reps. And then you add a thing and you add a thing. And then on week 2, you go, guess what? I'm adding one more play. And they're super excited because there's 2 plays. And go dog, Shannon Moore. But then what happens is around October, November, you got 50 plays. And you can grab the guys on the sideline and go, okay, go 3 more steps on that one. Yeah, gotcha. Because they've got so many reps, they've internalized it. That's the approach of Smart Start. I'm not making football dumb by only running 3 plays the first week. I'm getting it right. And then back to the Navy SEALs. Next week, we'll add a thing. Next week, we'll add a thing. And there's a point where when I've added 8 or 9 or 10 things, shout out to Pakistan. All right. I got to be clear for Pakistan. I'm talking American football, so not soccer. The thing is, you've got to believe in the long-term system that you're building. And that takes me back to the Ken Robinson thing. It's more than just handing out packets and collecting packets.
So, John, apparently you've got a lot of people that want to catch up on your movies, so they understand all of your metaphors.
You got to watch the movies.
This is great.
If you haven't seen Tommy Boy, you haven't really lived.
I kept thinking about was one of the things I realized in this last week that I have to get used to is that I am not someone that is like a everything in the grade book nitpicky, like small tasks person in my grade book. Like it typically has, a couple things per unit and then our closing stuff. But when I don't see a student and I have to then know that they're actually on track and doing stuff, it's forcing me to be a little bit more of this person that I am not used to as a teacher. And I don't know.
Can I help you with that though? Let me help you relieve your teacher's guilt. Have you been in a PE class before as a student? How do they run that class? Kline, hit the ball over the net. Good, 5 points. What do we do tomorrow? Kline, hit the ball over the net. 5 points. Oh, good. Wait a minute. So they don't have soccer there, but they have cricket. Okay, so good. So
good.
Thank you, Mohammed, for keeping us geographically relevant there. I much appreciate it. So the point is, and I'm not trying to talk down PE either, but PE usually has how many kids? 70 or 80, right?
Yeah.
And somehow they got to get all those kids to run a mile by Friday. And you're not going to get there if they don't run on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just not going to work out very well. So what they do is they say, get out on the track and start running, and I will give you points if you run 6 laps today. So they're not grading them on technique. They're just saying, do a thing, get some points. Yeah. What happens on Friday, though, Steph, is it's game day. Now I'm going to start, boom. I'm going to got the timer running, and I'm yelling things like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And then I time each kid. So my analogy to that in class is, you do the quizzes today, I'll give you 5 points. You do the thin slide today, I'll give you 5 points. You do the 5 things that I've got in Nearpod, I'll give you 5 points for today. Because that also defeats the kid who does nothing all week and then gets an A on the quiz. How maddening is that, right? So I like to keep the kids up tempo and working, points for participation, And then Friday is when I get there and I break it down, or Thursday. You know, it doesn't have to be any particular day of the week.
She's our athletic director at one of our high schools in Santa Ana Unified, and she's like, "Yep," she recognizes that.
If you have a 14-year-old and you haven't given them a negative grade for not working, they're going to assume they all have at least a B. That's where they live, man. That's where they live. I haven't gotten in trouble. I must have a B. Well, you haven't done anything. Well, yeah. How many of you have had a kid turn a paper in and they're stunned their grade doesn't go up? And I'm like, well, you got 5 Ds and you just added 1 more D. No, the grade is not going up. You got to get better than a D, bro. So that's where the participation thing counts. Now, I will also wean myself off of that. As kids get more skilled, I will get technical. So it's not always just checking a box.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my approach to feedback is a little different. My old saying is, I hate grading, but I love giving feedback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my first back for the first 3 days might be fill it up. But on the 4th day, I'm like, Stacy, you know how to spell cat. Let's do this right. So there's a point where I flip that, right? At first, I just want to get them repping. Another thing I like to say is, do kids get Fs because they can't do the work or because they don't? Well, most of the time it's because they don't. There's not a lot of kids that can't. There's some. I can allow for that and I modify when needed. But a lot of the kids that have bad grades is because they don't do the work. And when they don't do the work, I get to go to SSTs.
Yep.
And I get to go to meetings and I lose my nights and weekends and I get to do extra grading and all that kind of stuff. So my goal is to try to keep them in sequence as we're going as much as possible.
You know, John, this past 2 weeks, I was feeling that teacher guilt too. I didn't have my Canvas course live, and I did it on purpose because we just spent the first 2 weeks being together. We all tried all the skills. Every day they left class knowing they had a 4 out of 4. And
right.
It was all about feedback the first 2 weeks. It was very cool.
Yep. Yeah, just get them clicking. And then they've got something to defend, right? If you're the teacher that says, everybody starts with no points and you earn an A. Oh, like, great. Oh my God. I mean, this guy's going to kill me right now. So Mel A asked a great question. Go ahead, Stephanie. I cut you off.
What's your favorite Smart Start activity?
Ooh.
Well, that's a tricky one because it's kind of a one-shot deal, but you can do it again at Christmas and to end the year. But the worst presentation ever is a party, you guys. It is a party. And what's neat about it, though, is having the kids break the rules to remember the rules is so delicious. And then having the kids print somebody else's thing. So like Stephanie's like, well, mine's all about I hate puppies, but I like puppies. So this is going to be really weird for me. So just letting you guys know. So everybody's just laughing their heads off. So I love that one. The problem with it is you don't want to do worst presentation ever 3 times in a week because that one's not built for that. People love Freya or a friend. So you basically pair off. You can put them in Zoom rooms of 2 or 3. I just shared that one iteration I saw today. You basically interview each other. And I just randomly put them in Zoom rooms. Guess what we're going to do tomorrow? Freya a friend's food.
Ooh.
So you're random pairing, but today it's tacos and burritos from one kid and pastrami sandwiches for another. And then they share really quickly. I'll only give them like 5 seconds to share the whole thing. This is Stephanie. She loves cats. She hates chocolate and she wants a pastrami sandwich. Done. And then we go around the room so they're getting to know each other. Next day, Freya, your friend's favorite band. And so now you're going to work with 3 or 4 kids during the week. You're going to make 4 Freyers. I'm on Stacy's wavelength right now. You fill it up. Everybody's getting 4 points. What's my grading time? Right. And that's one I will just depart here real quickly. If I get a kid who goes blank on me that first day, I'm calling home immediately. All he had to do was this. Because here's what I learned about growing up in high school as a teacher. Because I'd been all K-8. High school kids will gladly sit there all year telling you they don't want to do any work and you're a cool teacher. And then in June they say, we didn't do anything, you're a bad teacher. Those same high school kids, they will start telling their parents how crazy you are. So that at the first parent meeting, mom and dad are coming after you. So I get it established really early. I'm a cool guy. I just need him to write 3 things about his friend. He wasn't able to do that. Can you chat with him? Because this is not going to end well. It's day 1 of 180. And then mom and dad are like, yeah, Corippo, that makes sense. I'm going to call him. Now I'm in the front with the parents. And we're double teaming the kid. If you wait till Halloween or Thanksgiving to make that first reach out, if you wait till there's 15 assignments missing, that's going to be on you. And it is, Muhammad is totally applicable to adults. Totally applicable to adults.
It totally is. And I would say I'm really, I really think deeply about the language that I use, especially on that first reach out, if it's in an email or a phone call. But I've already reached out to, I don't know, at least 8 different, like going back through and starting to look, like right away, you start to see some trends. I was starting to see trends in my classes, and I was like, okay, this is somebody I need to do some reaching out to. Yeah. And I had
you know what? Sometimes I find out that kid has a really legitimate need for empathy. Well, and so I don't have to get all wound up for 10 weeks about them. I can start the empathy train right now.
One of the pieces that I think was helpful about having all of these kind of spaces where, whether you're using breakout rooms or mini meets, the way that I do it at mine, right, was it allowed me as the teacher to actually go in and see those students. Because that's a piece that is tough in that virtual, when you're there
you feel so disconnected.
With 30 and they're all there on the screen. But when there are 4 in a space, I can go in and say hi to all 4 and we can talk. And then I can ask kids to, you know, some kids bandwidth, they couldn't have their picture on, but I can ask them to unmute. I can talk to them, and we can do it in that small space. And then I pop like room to room. I just go, and then I make note of the kids who either didn't unmute, or maybe they're not on the group doc. And I asked the team, did they ever come in? I asked them to stay after class. We did that today. I had a few that I checked in with. There was one kid that I was like, ooh. And this student was super honest with me. They're like, yeah, I just kind of check out during school. And I was like, that's not going to happen this year. We're going to work on that. That is your grow this year. How can we check you back in? And we talked about ways to help this student work through that. I got 4 emails after school about all the things that kid did. And I was like, some kids just need to feel seen, and they need that check-in. And if they are not, they're going to run, because that is their pattern. And they're like, nobody cares if I do it anyway. That's the response that I usually get from the kids who feel like nobody is watching. And so they need to know that you are watching and that you care that they are doing well. And I think that's the difference. Is like, I'm not coming at you at your enemy. I'm here to support you, to help you get better. And wherever you are, where you're going to get better. And
that's one of my little things I do with kids is, not every kid is going to be an effective student, but all kids want to be notorious. So I start making up nicknames, and, you know, I have this one kid right now whose name is Fisher, and he likes to be called Fish the Meme, and I go with it. I don't care if that's his jam. Kid. And so he claims that he's this big memeing guy, which we're only in week 2, so I'm not ready to get into that. He's got his meme skill set. So guess what? Saturday night, 6 o'clock, I get 5 Google slides. Please insert these into our quizzes this week. I've made some memes for you. What do I answer Saturday night, 6 o'clock? You're on, Fisher. Let's rock. Because you know what? If he's a leader in the class, he's going to help me establish my veracity with the class. And if he's an outlier in the class, I'm going to start building my team, right? So there's no bad part to that. And it was funny today, one of the 7th graders was like, why aren't we using Fish's memes? And I'm like, well, I've been using them all week. They're the best. Okay, here we go. What do I care, right?
Now you need a meme start.
Smart. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Oh, we actually have some meme making protocols, but we never really put them in the Smart Start context. But you're right.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be a fun
one.
You
can dedicate it to Fish.
You know, we did, you know, those old name tents you do with the kiddos, and they're cute, but sometimes kids might not engage because maybe they're not comfortable with their drawing skills. So we did them digitally this year. So they each got 2 slides. One slide has all words, one side has pictures, and you have to add a GIF. And so we went to Giphy, and I thought, you know, they didn't realize it, but I just front loaded 20, 20 Google Slide skills and 1 activity.
Yeah. And so that's the other thing that I like, Stacy, is so for the people that are there's, I'm sure people are still struggling with, so I'm going to stop teaching to do this. No, you're not going to do a week of PowerPoint training. You're not going to do a week of spreadsheet training. It's all done in context. And I'll tell you guys, you've probably seen this before, but the folks that have been using EduProtocols for the last 2 or 3 years are telling me they're picking up 6 and 7 weeks of productivity a year. 7 weeks out of 40. I'm an English teacher, but that's more than 10%. That's a chunk of time, you guys. And the reason that is working is because they're doing 2 and 3 things at once. And the kids are actually doing it. That's a big factor too.
And I think like that your emphasis on starting slow, starting with one and then moving to another. It's the same piece that I shared with our teachers too on our staff, but I keep finding I thought I started slow. I really did. And I thought I was only using one tool, but sometimes it's hard to only use one thing when you're virtual. You're trying to weave things in and do it in a way that feels meaningful. And then I realized like, oh my gosh, I did more than one thing. Like I was asking them, I keep saying like I was asking them to overclick, like go to too many different things. And then you get that kid that's like, what are we doing? Where do we go?
Yeah. And that's where you got to work out those timings of those instructions.
Yeah. And I would say some of the pieces that are my big takeaway with you is like for each of these is the quickness on them. So I would love maybe if you wouldn't mind going through and letting us know, like for each of the different ones that are up there, like what are the ones that are like super short and are there other ones that are longer? Maybe if people are trying to gauge what
that's a really good question. Yeah. And I'm going to just give one more piece of advice. So try this. If you go to a staff meeting with 45 adults who are professionals and college trained, and you want them to listen to a lecture about any subject matter for an hour, how many of them will ask questions at the end?
Zero.
None.
They just want to get out. They're done.
Yeah, they're like, I'm gassed. Can we go? Can we go?
That does ask questions.
So how are they different than kids? They're not. It's a human learning trait. So now if you take that and you make it into, how many people did I say? 45 people? You got 45 people. What if you had 7 stations and people traveled around in groups of about 7 or 8 people? And maybe they went to AC, cool ideas about spreadsheets. And then they went to Steph 1 about 5 cool tricks, not 50, 5 cool tricks for Google Slides. And then they went to Stephanie Howell for cool tricks about speed grading. And again, it's 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Well, let's see. If there's 7 groups, 8 minutes, that's more than 60 minutes. So you could say go to 5 of 7. If you're already super hot at Google Slides, don't go to see Stephanie. If you already are a speed grader, don't go to the other Stephanie. Now you've introduced choice. And this is super powerful with adult learners. And guess what? Also works on second grade. So I'm going to go through this start list there. Okay. Frere Friend runs about 15 to 20 minutes. So I would say medium length. It'll go faster on day 2 and 3. Day 1, you're spending a lot of time of explaining. Bukakucha, that's easy. It's exactly 3 minutes. And the way I do it, you guys, is I go like this. Best movie ever, protagonist, 3 facts, go. It's kind of a thin slide, except it's with a literary background. Why did I say best movie ever? I don't even have time to show them a commercial today. I'm going to save all that processing time. I'm going to let them use their brain. And I always have one kid that's like, I've never watched a movie. Okay, have you read a book? Yeah, do a book. Right? You know how that works? There's always one kid. What are movies? Dude, I know that move. Do something else. Okay. Oh, TV show? You're good. I literally had a kid 2 weeks ago. I've never watched a movie. I go, you have Netflix? Yeah, those are movies. You can use any one of those. Go. Like, oh my God, the learned helplessness. So Bukakucha is basically, think of it as a flash lit circle that you don't need to wait until the end of the week, right? So you can go setting, 3 things, 3 minutes, go. And then they get about 5 seconds to share and we build that. So Bukakucha is super fast. Cyber Sandwich is slower. Cyber Sandwich is where you might have 2 kids watch a 1 or 2 minute video. One of my favorite ones is to look up the guy that shows how to do corn on the cob in one move. The silk, everything comes off. So you pick a cool video like that, and then you have them both watch it. Give me 3 things that popped out to you. Then they compare, and then they share for the group. So that's more like a 12 to 20 minute option, but it's still pretty quick. Sketch and tell. Sketch and tell is 10 or 12 minutes. And so basically what you have kids do is, and again, I'm just using their brain. So watch this. I don't have them read anything. I just use knowledge. Draw your pet or your dream pet only using Google drawing tools. So no pictures. And then give me 3 facts about it. So again, pretty quick there. It just depends on how long I want the kids to how creative I want them to be on the drawing. Random emoji power paragraph is a lot of fun. That's the one where I put up 5 emoji and the kids write 5 sentences and attempt to hook those all together. That's about a 12 or 15 minute. Iron Chef is probably, now the Iron Chef is supposed to take 10 minutes to build a slide and then 2 minutes for group to present. So that usually takes about 20 to 25 by the time all the groups do it. And again, on that first Iron Chef, you guys, it'll be something like your first phone, depending on their grade range. Tell me 3 facts about your first phone. What was it like? Put a picture, and then the secret ingredient is what's your current drool-worthy phone. So they're not having to look stuff up. But like on Steph, on our boiled frog scenario, the next day I might do your favorite book. The next day I might do a famous character. Then I bring in an article. But by then we got 3 reps under our belt. So when I introduce text to it, they just slide right on over. The kids are like, oh, yeah. Oh, you want us to read a poem first? Okay. But they already know what the task is. So they just slide right on through that. But that's the patience piece. Give them time. Because I think it's called dual processing. It's hard for people to learn a new game and drop academic content in the same time. It's wrecking them in both directions. So I usually start with pop culture. The Fast and Curious, super fast. 8, 9 questions on yourself. 8, 9 questions on your favorite movies. 8, 9 questions on Nickelodeon shows. And so that's, and the key to the Fast and Curious is doing 2 rounds. So that one, probably about 12 minutes for 2 rounds. And then things that rock, if you guys haven't seen it, it's Marlena adapted the good old ed camp thing of things that suck. So with teachers, you get them at an ed camp and you go, I love Accelerator Reader. I hate Accelerator Reader. Separate yourselves, make a continuum. So we can do that virtually, you guys, in Pear Deck by making a draggable. I just put a picture of the Hobbit in the middle. Go. 1 thumb up, 1 down. Where are you at on the Hobbit thing? Next one, grilled cheese. Where are you at? And then one of the kids that's anti-grilled cheese, you're like, why are you against grilled cheese? Well, I'm not, but I'm lactose intolerant. Oh, okay. That's good to know. So you can do 3 or 4 rounds of virtual things that rock in under 15 minutes. But guess what they're doing, you guys? They're comparing. They're making a claim. They're using evidence. That's building the base for stuff I'm going to do later.
That's really cool. As a English teacher thinking about building up towards an essay, I hadn't even thought about connecting, making a choice.
Hey, dude, if you can't write a good sentence, the paragraph's not going to get better. And it just takes me way longer to grade. So like with my class this year with my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, I just started with write a compound sentence, and like less of half of them could do one at the drop of a hat. So guess where we're going to start, Steph? We're going to start with compound sentence. So that worked out really good too.
Yeah, I love how quick and easy these are to implement in the classroom. And I also think it provides clarity when the students are adding it to the content. Like that's one of the biggest issues we had in the spring was teachers were giving assignments and then they were like, oh, these kids are emailing me. Well, now they know what to do. They know what's expected. They know how to do it. They just need to add the content piece in. And
right. And that's the dual processing, right? They know the flow. They know the flow. They just need to start dropping the facts in the right places.
So I think for me, I keep going to what's the mode that I'm going to have students likely present in at the very end of this unit.
Yeah.
Are we going to be using a particular tool or doing it in a particular way? And then what is the Smart Start beginning that would be a nice entry point to that entire unit that will set us up for success? And I'm going to keep doing that.
That's perfectly said.
8 units all year long, something like
So if my goal in language arts is for them to be good writers, I am not starting with a 5-paragraph essay because frankly, I'll burn them all. It'll be bad, right? And I saw a poster that really changed my world. It rocked my world. I had this epiphany when I saw it. It was on the classroom door at my school in Course Gold. And here's what it said. If a child can read a word, a child can read a sentence. If a child can read a sentence, a child can read a paragraph. And if a child can read a paragraph, a child can read anything. Now, it's very, very obvious that that's true, but I think sometimes in the clutter of teaching, we lose it. I think we lose, there's a clarity there, you guys. And so my version of that is if a kid can write a really good sentence, we can start having good paragraphs. And if we can write really good paragraphs, I'm not worried about them writing 5 paragraphs. You know why? They'll want to. But when I start at 5 and terrify them about 5 and they're working up to 5 like a dog paddling swimmer, the bar is in the wrong place. 5 paragraphs is not a big challenge. You set that as a challenge. I'd rather do this, write 3 paragraphs in 5 minutes, go. And they're going to be sloppy, but we're getting the tonnage, right? And then I start adding compound and a positive and all those different kinds of sentences, and I give them feedback and teach them how to revise and paraphrase. And then the skill goes up. And guess what happens? Just like any other sport or activity, when your skill goes up, you enjoy the work more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Couch to 5K. I'm doing that app right now to run.
Yeah.
I hate running, but I can run for 90 seconds.
Exactly. They're tricking you.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just a big old trick.
So I'm slowly working up to that 5K.
They're just tricking you right into it. I love it.
Yeah, chunking the material, that really, really helps. It helps you with coping skills.
Right. Well, and yeah, there's a lot of SEA involved because the kids come to work, they know what's coming. Right? So there's not this, imagine walking into your job every day. Well, Stephanie probably gets that. Literally not knowing what's there. That's the kid's view, right? Every day. I can remember very clearly, math means I'm going to get my butt kicked today. So every day when I walk into math class, I'm just thinking this is butt kicking day again. That wears people down. And then you say to the kids, why aren't you working? Cause I don't even know what we're doing, bro. I don't even know why there are letters in my math right now. I don't know. How do we get here?
So, John, do you do the smart starts with students, or do you just kind of observe from the background? Or do you?
Oh, that's a good one. I will usually throw my 2 cents in. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love those. Like when we did Dream Pet, my Dream Pet, I've honed this after doing this activity probably 50 times. My Dream Pet, I want a teacup bison. I want an American bison that will fit in my hand. That's what I want.
Like a miniature pincher.
Yeah, way smaller. I want it to be like this big. I want a full-on buffalo like you'd see Yellowstone that's that big. Because I get all the coolness without the huge cage. Look, the food cost is reduced. I can put him in his little holder and take him shopping with me. It'll be awesome.
You have really thought about this.
Oh, yeah, I spent time on it. I spent time
You're
on
probably
it.
write a book about it.
My husband, he doesn't want a helper dog. He wants a helper monkey.
Exactly. There you go.
So as we're closing, I think we have so much fun always talking to you, John. But there were a lot.
I think you have fun without me. I suspect very strongly that you have a lot of fun without me.
Listen, we can have fun, but it's another level of fun when you're here.
Well, good.
So I just want to pass on all of the thank yous from the many people that have been watching and asking if they can be watching the replay of it. But I do think there were like tons of tips and tricks just shared out that I know for me, I'm going to need to go back, re-listen to, hear again, and go like, okay, I'm about to approach this unit. Which one of those 10 things that John just said is going to be the best one for me right now? And maybe I'll come back and play it as I'm clicking it and have him talk me through which one do I want to do.
Well, I'm gonna lower your teacher's guilt right now. My wife has a sticker on or a little Post-it note on the fridge, and it says, There's no one way to be a perfect mom, but there are 1,000 ways to be a great mom. So you got to take the perfect thing off, right? There are 1,000 ways. And guess what? I know a lot of these tricks because people tell me what they're doing. So like I'm the central repository for all these goofy tricks. So, you know, I'm just like all you guys. I wake up in the morning and I go, oh crap, I have school today.
Yeah.
I need something. I wake up just like that.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Best thing I've seen is like everybody on Twitter is like, I haven't eaten. It's 3 PM. What am I thinking?
For real.
John, you've been inspiring all of us forever. I've been, you know, guys, since like the early 2000s. It's like, who's that Sparky guy? How is he doing this and having so much fun? So it's very helpful.
We can all have fun now.
Yeah, I have a low self-esteem and a short attention span, so I got to keep it fun.
Here. Aw, hi, sweetheart.
Okay. This is my oldest. She's coming, not usually, but she was excited to share that that the Global Junior Training Series was helping her in her class. She came in, she interrupted, I muted the mic, and she said, "What did you say about your friend in your class?"
One of my friends, she wanted to write an email, so I told her to use my mom's video.
Yay!
And so
Yay.
you were amazing when you were playing the guitar and singing. You and your mom's voices are spot on. Beautiful job.
Okay. You're live people right now before we close up, but I just wanted to say thank you. My kids are coming in probably because they're hungry for dinner too. I have to go for food,
So that's a strong nonverbal cue is the way we're going to rank that.
Yep. But yeah, thank you so much, John. Thank you, everyone.
You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
This is so wonderful.
And I want to
Don't
so
forget
many
to fill out the feedback.
Yes, please fill out the feedback. It helps us very, very much. And yes, I will go eat some ice cream. Oh, they already did, by the way, Lisa. My kids have all had 3 desserts tonight during this session, and now I need to go through actual food. That was how I got through this hour.
So they've already chowed on the dessert.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There were like 3 Mickey ice cream popsicles eaten by my 4-year-old. For sure. It's fine. It's always fine. It's fine.
And just a reminder, you can find all of the Smart Starts on the website. We put it in the chat. Stacy will probably put it in again, I'm sure, because she's so awesome. But make sure you use those. There was a question earlier from Mel. It doesn't matter when you use them. You can be 4 weeks in and you can restart if that's what you need to do, because the number one thing is to build those relationships with students. And so focus on that first, and you can even use those activities with your content. All you have to do is know what you're teaching. It takes 0 prep to get it ready. Just know your content.
I agree. That was some of the most useful info that John brought in, I think, sessions 1 and 2 when we were talking to him, was about, that prep time piece and realizing like, well, what's the main point? What is my biggest why of this? And what do I want them to get out of it? And now I'm going to have them actually do that. And that that was my biggest takeaway from all the pieces within EduProtocols. And then I went, how do I revamp what I've always done and really have it revolve around students doing the work so that they can do the learning, which is what John's phrase is that he taught me last.
And it looks like it's time for ice cream because the chat has gone crazy. So good night, everybody. Go eat some ice cream, and hopefully you start smart tomorrow.
Ooh, nice ending,
Oh, so alliterative.